Hey guys, just wanted to congratulate everyone. We made it to the last week um, of the course, and yeah, just kind of getting into this, final discussion, wrapping up the project as well. I wanted to, start off by talking about kind of the basis of the project. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but just as a refresher, um, kind of what the problem at hand was. A lifestyle group was looking for ways to promote healthy living and decided to provide bike sharing technology in a mid-sized metropolitan area. And we were tasked with the design and implementation of the system regarding the checkout and returning and billing of the bikes as well. Um, and they did give us kind of, a couple of basics for that. Um, but aside from that, the way I started looking at this project was first, I actually did take a look at the bikes, the KC bike system, and the Lime bike system as well. Um, and the Lime and Bird scooters as well, just to kind of like get a little more background on the whole app interaction sharing process, especially with the Lime and Bird scooters, because those don't have docking stations like the bikes do. And I also started from there to kind of get the base of how I wanted to go about this. And for a good majority of the information for the papers and projects I was turning in, I was actually relating it back to actual programs I found that these docking systems and these other cities were using for their bike programs. And a big portion of that was not necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel, but also getting a good firm grasp on the type of services that these programs provide for the system, and also kind of how that interacts and how those services are structured. So that way I had a better grasp and understanding of really how to go about tackling the problem at hand. Um, so yeah, the first was doing research for my part, and then also looking at our course material. Um, through everything, I thought cloud architecture would probably be the best regarding security concerns and risks, um, and just kind of working with the hardware that was given. Um, so for that, I kind of based mine around a cloud structure with the docking stations having servers in them um, to act wirelessly, and then also connecting to the cloud. And with that cloud system would host the entirety of the program. Um, with the layers of code, and also kind of relating back to the billing, um, storage information for the users, and also um, any protocols for alerts and things like that. Um, that way, because with the system, it would be harder for someone to, you know, basically sit there and monitor it every day. Um, Physically, with it being in a cloud architecture, they could do it remotely from an office, because obviously these stations, it would be pointless to have them throughout a city area and then try and establish some type of um, IT technical office right in front of it or right next to it or down the street from it, because unfortunately I don't, from my personal experience working with commercial property, it's not always available where you want it to be. So that was kind of my thought process on, the system architecture, and going through that. And that way it could also be, upgraded, and then you could also expand later. So if this becomes a, bigger thing, or say for instance, like in Kansas City, like say in the Kansas side, where there's more development going on, maybe there's chances to kind of move out that way. That way, you're not paying with the cloud architecture system a high cost at the beginning. Um, and then, after that, it would just generally be, layering security, making sure that's all taken care of, making sure we have the proper steps in place to monitor the system. We have the important shifts taken care of and things like that with the IT. And then, and I know that they've already stated that the organization had done what they needed to do to kind of get the system approved, but also for my implementation, it would start with going over with local government, public works, seeing if these stations that we've chosen for the docking areas would work, um, and making sure that they are accessible, um, and also determining kind of how that interaction would entail. Would there is Are there already bike lanes in the area, and kind of going with that just from a city standpoint, and then moving towards actual implementation. So once we get all of that information from the city, making the schedule of where we're going to place these bikes, and then after we have concrete dates, where great, it's not going to take that long to unload everything, build it up, and then as we're getting ready to do that, also reaching out and marketing as well to people to let them know this service is coming to the city, um, and making sure everyone knows, and kind of put off the tentative start date for at least a few days after the system has been installed, the bikes are moved in and everything, so that way we can at least run a few test and trial errors with the docking system, the IS, and everything else like that, just to make sure it's going okay. It's running properly, which I wouldn't find any issues with doing that. It would just be more for the sake of making sure that people are able to, the actual stations are unlocking and locking. There's no issues with identifying the bikes when they go back, and having all of those components together, so that way once it's rolled out, it's taken care of and kind of going about that. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over that for that final portion I submitted, and I think everyone has kind of a similar outlook on this, and it's generally a good idea, and interesting implementation. Um, but yeah, that was kind of my take on the course project. That's kind of where I was at in my thought process of working on that these past 8 weeks. So I'd love to hear your feedback and hear what you guys have to say and what you guys thought and went about doing for your projects, because I know some people have more experience in IT, so maybe they already had something in mind, or something like that as well. So yeah, it's been a great class, and yeah, thanks for checking out the video, guys, and good luck with the rest of your classes this semester.